I think that that's nice to say that, Justin, but I just don't. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a joke. I don't believe that.
CrossFit's awesome.
Ayo. We are on. Hello. What is up, you sexy beast? I hope you enjoy being called that. I hope it just encourages you and just sparks up a confidence in you, you know? You are a sexy beast. Hey, welcome back to the About Last Week podcast. My name is Wykie Etsebeth. I am born out of the heart of South Africa, now living in Australia, and I'm a CrossFit fanatic. I really am. I love CrossFit, everything about it, and this podcast is about the major happenings in our space, especially the sport of CrossFit, I should say, over the last week. Just recapping it, just kind of top level, bird's eye view of what happened, and I need you guys. I need you to engage. I need you guys to comment and tell me what you think, because that's what really matters. I've got my opinion, but my opinion's not always correct. It's sometimes skewed by my own biases, my own emotions, and I need your input. So make sure you get involved down in the comments. I would absolutely love that. Hey, thank you so much for all the good feedback last week. Had Nate on the show. We are thinking of starting a separate podcast where we can just talk for longer periods of time about anything. And we're thinking about getting a third person on that podcast. So if you have any ideas, myself, Nate Edwardson, and who can the third person be? In fact, I'll probably do a little poll, a little questionnaire thing on Instagram. So if you don't follow me there, make sure you go and follow me there. I think it's Vykie Etsebeth on Instagram. So this week I'll post that. You can make your suggestions, tag some people that might be a good fit for that podcast. It'll live on a separate channel, okay? This week, let's start with a few fun things out of the community. We do have a few heavier topics to discuss today, but let's start with something a bit more lighthearted. Gabby Magawa. I saw this and I could not believe my eyes. There was a short 4 or 5 minute video on the CrossFit Games YouTube channel of Gabby doing the quarterfinals. And if you think that you are a chalk monster is someone who just chalks up way too much. If you think that you have an issue with chalk, just watch this little clip.
She might hate me a little bit because I spring a lot of chalk, like you can see in the background on the floor.
Imagine the cleanup required after that. If you were that gym owner, you'd be crying inside. But Gabby's such a nice girl that you couldn't really say much, could you? Oh, Gabby, that's next level. And then Chandler Smith, mate. I believe Chandler's an ex-wrestler. I saw this video and every fiber of my being was cringing. Because if I was to do this, my neck would just snap off. Maybe there's some wrestlers out there that have done this before, but look at this little video of Chandler Smith rolling around on his head. Yeah, it's painful to watch for me, but you might be all right. Enjoy.
All right, so say you go normal bridge here in your hands, but you go like this, and then you go like stretch, and then the coach will tell you to roll over, and then you go here.
So gentle.
I honestly think if I did that, my neck would snap off, and that'll be the end of me. And then lastly, before we get into some more serious topics, Alex Smith and Danny Spiegel at it again. These guys had a little challenge of who could crack a watermelon between their knees with their thighs. And I was like, come on, Alec, are you serious? Like Danny's going to pop that watermelon in no time, And here's the result. Here's the video.
Why am I nervous?
Because it's going to be hard.
Okay. All right, long ways? Or like this ways?
No, for sure.
There's
Farther?
no way I'm up. 3, 1.
Oh my god.
God, I heard it going.
You think?
I hate you.
Okay, let's get into the topics from last week. There was quite a bit that happened in the CrossFit space last week. First of all is the future of the CrossFit Games host or location. So CrossFit made it clear last year that they were looking for a new host, that 2022 was going to possibly be the last year in Madison. I believe they were looking at Austin, Texas, and also Denver, Colorado, were two of the names that were thrown out there. And then also looking at maybe re-signing with Madison, with Wisconsin. So the call's been made that next year, the 2023 CrossFit Games is going to be back at Madison, Wisconsin, just to give the team a bit more time to find a new host. At a recent press conference that CrossFit held, they mentioned, or Justin Berg mentioned, that they are seriously considering an international host. Which honestly, I think it's a joke. I think it's a joke. There's no way. There's no way they're moving the CrossFit Games to outside of the United States. There's just no way. Not for many years, if ever. Unless they go to multiple CrossFit Games events per year. So rather than just having the one major event, actually having 2 to 4 major events. Now, we've spoken about the tennis majors before. We've got the Aussie Open, the French Open, the US Open, and Wimbledon. You've got the 4 majors, That would be pretty cool. I mean, I like the idea of having this pinnacle event once a year, but it would be pretty sweet if there were actually, 2 to 4 CrossFit Games level events with the same stakes on the line, the same kind of prize money, and they could be hosted around the world. That would be pretty sweet. But as long as the CrossFit Games is just this one pinnacle event at of the year, I don't see that thing moving out of the US. So I think that that's nice to say that, Justin, but I just don't. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a joke. I don't believe that. So next year, 2023, we're heading back to Madison, and then we'll find out where the next location would be. I think Austin, Texas would be pretty sweet for the CrossFit Games. Maybe you guys know, I don't know, I've never been to Texas, Austin, or Colorado. Denver, Colorado. So if either of those, if you've been there, if you've lived there, let us know in the comments. What do you think? What city in the United States or in the world would make a great host for the CrossFit Games? And do you really think that moving the CrossFit Games international, somewhere else out of the US, do you really think that's plausible? And if so, where? Where do we go? What city? Where do we go? Don't get me wrong. I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see that thing move to Europe or somewhere else, even if it's just for a year. But yeah, let me know what you think. Okay. On that note, the Coliseum, it's sold out for 2022. So there's no more tickets available. CrossFit Games have sold out of the tickets, which is great. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the case last year. In fact, I know that the stadium wasn't packed to its capacity when I was in the stadium. So it's cool to see that it's sold out completely for the weekend in Madison this year. Okay, we just alluded to and touched on the post-quarterfinals press conference that CrossFit held. Now, the people that attended this press conference was, I believe, the morning chalk up. Sean Woodland was there from Talking Elite Fitness. And then they had 3 athletes, I believe. It was Mel O'Brien, Gabby Magawa, and Guy Malheiros. So there's those 3 athletes. I think they were the top qualifiers maybe in the quarterfinals. So they were there, the guys from the morning chalk up, and the guys from Talking Elite Fitness. I saw on the Sevan podcast, Sevan had Andrew Hiller on recently, and they were basically saying that, look, this thing that got organized, it's not a press conference. Both those guys applied for access to this press conference. I don't know what the definition of a press conference is and who's a verified media person. I saw that they said they invited verified media. So who verifies them? I don't know. What helps you to get verified? I don't know. I didn't apply, or I didn't even know about the conference. I didn't ask for access to it. But apparently both Sevan and Andrew Hiller asked for access to this press conference and got denied. I would say that, especially Sevan, maybe Andrew as well, I would say that they are, CrossFit media, outside CrossFit media, without a doubt. So I'm not sure what the requirements were to make that press conference, but it does seem very organized and very clean cut, in that they haven't really included anyone that might have, how can I say, a slightly different view on things, or is a bit more combative. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you heard about this press conference, how should it be? Like, what should the requirements be to be a part of it? Should it just be open, free for all? Like, should everyone be able to just access that link, that Zoom call, and be part of it and be able to ask questions? Or should we all have the opportunity to submit questions and then someone presents those? I'm not sure. Obviously, it's online. It's not as easy as being in person. But who should go do these things, and how do you verify who's a verified media? Anyway, so some of the things they discussed at this press conference was, first of all, the video standards. Now, it's no secret that Andrew Hiller, I made my very first podcast about last week. I mentioned Hiller, and at the time I wasn't sure about what he was doing, how effective it was, or what the motivation was. And I've watched a lot of Hiller's videos, and it's very clear that the guy does his research, that he cares about CrossFit, and he's definitely making an impact. So, I think my opinion of what Hiller's doing and the impact it's having has changed. Sure, there's still times where he does things like, that wasn't necessary to call that person out that way, like that. It wasn't. There's still some, a few things that I'm like, that's not, but that's just me. That's just because this is not the way I roll. And so it just, I guess it just rubs me up the wrong way. But overall, if I look at the body of work he's putting out there, it's overwhelmingly positive in the sense that it's challenging true lack of standards. And I think a lot of people are very appreciative, especially those athletes who are missing out, or those athletes that are working so hard to make it are missing out on spots because of people who are cutting the standards. And Hiller's calling that out, and he's going hard. And just this week, David Hippensteel, I believe his name is. Yeah, David Hippensteel. I think maybe he's the CrossFit Games champion for 65 plus. Don't hold me to that. I think that's what it is. So, he was one of the guys who came under the microscope of Hiller in recent days, post quarterfinal video submission. So that was one of the things that got discussed, was the video submission process and the standards. David Hippensteel's videos or scores have been removed. It looks like it's actually been removed from competition. Now, who knows whether that's because of Hiller's video? I'm sure he would claim that it is, or whether it's the fact that CrossFit actually went and reviewed the video and decided that yes, they were all invalid, or that video was invalid. But basically what Boz said to the question, when he got asked about the standards and the video submission and what they're going to do going forwards to make it better, he said that the issue is the time between athletes posting their videos. So let's say an athlete does the quarterfinal workout, they post their video. There's a period of time before CrossFit gets around to reviewing that video where people can view that video and see it, scrutinize it, and blame CrossFit for, having this person on the leaderboard. When the reality is CrossFit hasn't actually gotten to the point where they can review the video and make the adjustments. So there's a period of time where you can go crazy and just, call these people out and blame CrossFit for having that video on there. And it's like, well, hold on. They haven't got to it yet. They're going to review it and hopefully make the changes. Now, I'm not saying they are, and I'm not saying they would have if someone like Hiller didn't point it out. Maybe they wouldn't have. But I struggle to believe. I just struggle to believe that CrossFit doesn't care about this. I think the more reasonable explanation is that they don't have the systems in place to review these videos quick enough and to a high enough standard. I think they are missing a lot of stuff, and I think it's falling through the cracks. And so I think that needs to be addressed. The system needs to be addressed. It needs to be tightened up. But I don't believe the heart motive is we don't care, or like just whatever goes, And so that's what Boz was saying, is that, Boz was saying we CrossFit want the same thing as everyone else. We want the athletes to feel good about the test. We want them to feel like it's fair. And we're all on the same team here, and we recognize we've got to change some things. But I do think that someone like Hiller, putting the pressure on, and then the community rallying behind that will hopefully speed up the process. And I think as long as it's done with the right heart and with a gracious attitude, I think we're going to be sweet. So I think it's all good things. It's all good things. So Hilla, if you're watching this, man, well done. You're doing a great job, man. You're doing a great job. Okay, what else was discussed at that press conference? The sponsors. So the obvious one was the Whoop sponsorship. So Whoop is no longer a sponsor of the CrossFit Games. In fact, if you go on the Whoop app now, rather than being able to select a CrossFit as your workout type, I think it's now called like Box Fitness or something. So that's interesting. I must say, when I received my new Whoop, the 4.0, is it 4.0? The heart rate data was just so far off. Like, it was just way too low for how hard I was working. And so I lost a bit of trust in the data through that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know a lot of you guys have Whoops and use it. I would love to know what your new Whoop is doing. Do you feel like it's still accurate? I definitely noticed the difference between my old Whoop and my new Whoop, particularly when it came to the heart rate numbers. I'm not sure about the strain and the recovery, but heart rate, I remember posting my heart rate on my Whoop during the Open this year, and people commented, and I looked at it and was like, man, surely my heart rate got up above 150, you know? I was dying. I'm not that fit. And even if I was fitter, I'd be able to work harder, so my heart rate will still be up in the 180s to 200s. So that was interesting to see Whoop move on from CrossFit. Again, you can speculate what the reasons are. There's many different ways you can look at it. But that was kind of interesting, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on the Whoop thing. What else was there? I think those were the major things that were discussed at the press conference. The other one was just the involvement of CrossFit at the semifinals and the programming. That's not super interesting. I've seen the 2 workouts that CrossFit has programmed for the semifinals, and I think they are awesome. I think people are going to be really happy with them. I think the athletes will be stoked. So, look forward to seeing those being released very soon. I mean, we started not this weekend, but weekend after. 2 weeks away from semifinals starting, and we'll find out all the workouts. Maybe on that note, let's have a quick chat about the Torian workouts that have been released. There's been 2 more workouts released. One is called Don't Stop Me, and that is 15 chest to bar pull-ups, 15 calories on the Rogue Eco Bike, and then you move on to a snatch bar that's not overly heavy. I believe it's 50 kgs for the men, which will probably be like 35 for the ladies. You guys know I don't know pounds. I don't do pounds. And so you'll have to just work that out yourself. But it's basically a yellow on each side for the men, and just a green on each side for the ladies. Yeah. Anyway, they got 60 snatches to get through at that weight, but you've only got 2 minutes per round. Okay, so once you finish your 15 chest to bar pull-ups, your 15 calories in the Eco Bike, you move on to the bar. Whatever time's left in the 2 minutes, you snatch for dear life, and then you get a 2-minute rest. So it's a 1-for-1 rest, and you go again. 15 chest to bar pull-ups, 15 Eco Bike, and then back to the bar, and you keep snatching until you hit 60 total snatches. So that, I don't think that's possible in 2 rounds. Like you'd have to do 30 power snatches at that weight for 2 rounds back to back. I don't think there's enough time in 2 minutes to do 15 chest bar pull-ups, 15 calories, and 30 snatches. But I do believe it can be done in 3 rounds, I reckon. It could be done in 3 rounds. So that's going to be a super interesting workout. I think a lot of athletes won't finish it in the 3 rounds, and they've only got 4 rounds max. So I think everyone will finish in 4 rounds, but there'll just be a select few who will just sneak into 3 rounds. So that's a great looking workout. And then just last night they released Strongman Diane. I haven't even looked at the details. I filmed this, but I can't remember the rep scheme. But it's basically handstand push-ups. Maybe it's 21. Must be 21 strict handstand push-ups deficit into a heavy. What's that bag called? You know what's it called? Huffleoff. I can't remember what the bag's called. They use it at the games this year. It's kind of like a diamond shape bag that they pick up and carry. It's quite wide, so it'll be real like intense on the lats. So they do that, carry out and back. Then they do another set of the deficit handstand push-ups. Then they've got heavy kettlebells I tried those kettlebells. I think they were 80 kgs each, so 160 kgs in total. So they're big ass. They are big ass kettlebells. Carry those there and back, do some more handstand push-ups, and then finally they're going to lift a heavy yoke. We don't know the weight, but Mike told me it's going to be stupidly heavy. In fact, if you watched a video on the Torian Pro Instagram, you'll see Brandon Swan attempting this, and the facials were real. He wasn't putting that on. He was struggling and shaking, and they are putting the weight up from what we used on that day. I'm not sure what we used on that day, but they're putting the weight up from that. So that's going to be a brutal workout. You need some real raw strength, but then also you've got a whole lot of deficit, strict handstand push-ups. So you cannot be gymnastic either. So I think someone like a Cara Saunders, who's just strong as an ox, but can also bang out bodyweight movements like a deficit handstand push-ups, will do really well. That's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, so those are 2 workouts that have been released for Torian. What else we got? Oh, the Asia Regional. So there are those male athletes that we spoke about before. I believe most of them are from Russia. Anyway, they are basically US-based, but because their passports are in Asia, in the Asia region, they've got to travel back there to compete. I believe all 4 of those athletes, including Roman Krinikov, will not be making the trip back to Asia to actually do the semi-final. So that means there's a whole lot of spots open for some unknown athletes that possibly won't be up to scratch to compete at the games, get spots from the Asia region. And then these poor guys have to compete in the last chance qualifier. That's their next option. And like I've said before, the last chance qualifier is just the most brutal. I think it's way tougher than a semi-final. Not only because the caliber of athletes is so high, because they're all athletes that just missed out of their semi. There's only 2 spots available, I believe, as well. So it's a sad situation for these athletes, but that's just reality at the moment. So lastly, I saw that obstacle course racing might be part of the 2028 Olympic Games. And it got me thinking, man, if obstacle racing can get into the Olympic Games, could CrossFit be an Olympic sport? Could that be something that becomes part of the Olympic competition? Imagine that. How cool would that be to have another prestigious competition where athletes can showcase their goods? And I just thought, man, surely obstacle racing is as new and as broad as CrossFit. Surely. I'm not too sure about the history of obstacle racing, but I feel like it's fairly recent, no older, no more established than CrossFit. So there you go, team. Solid 22 minutes. My goodness, I'm loving this, hey? Those are the main stories that I picked up this week. Again, if you see anything that you want me to share on this podcast, let me know. And then just get down in the comments and go crazy. Okay? Go nuts and go crazy down in the comments. Let me know, what do you think about this press conference CrossFit held? Was it legit? Who should be verified media? Let me know what you think about the Torian workouts. Those 2 workouts, Don't Stop Me Now and the Strongman Diane. What do you think about these athletes in the Asia region that now have to do the online qualifier? And lastly, what do you think about the future location of CrossFit? Where should we go? And could we ever end up outside of the US? I don't know. My tribe, love you heaps. Hope you have a fantastic week. If you're worried about my ankle, it's feeling a lot better. I'll probably cover what happened to my ankle and how it's going on Wednesday's video, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you just stay sexy, you keep roaring love, and I'll see you real soon. Okay, bye.
CrossFit's awesome.